It's lovely to be here. What a great group this is. This is unbelievable. Normally, you go to conferences and it's, essentially 600 individuals who are roaming about a hotel. And there's a really great strong sense of community with this group that I got in when I immediately walked into the hotel. It's phenomenal. And so a big hand to Tad and to Dom and to all of the organizers behind Eura. This is absolutely phenomenal. Congratulations. I found out last night that one of the reasons why the community is so strong. I was at our dinner table at the gala dinner last night and found out that of the over 600 people who are here, that 68 of you are on Tinder. I was wondering why no one was tweeting to the hashtag. Now I know. Talk about relocation. It is lovely to be here. I got in on Wednesday and had a little bit of a time to pop around the old city center, and it was phenomenal. Such a great city. I flew in to Frankfurt and then transferred here to get to Porto, and it's something that I do a lot. Like many of you, I fly around a lot. And there was this one particular time that was really interesting because I got on the flight. And it was a small, kind of a regional airline in Canada called WestJet. And I got on, and this guy gets on the plane, and he grabbed the microphone that's usually reserved for the flight attendants. And my first thought was, you can't do that. But there's got to be a rule that says you can't commandeer the plane by grabbing the microphone. And I'm sitting here watching this guy about to address the plane, and I thought, I know what this is. Some dude is going to propose to his girlfriend, and now I got to sit through this schmaltzy crap. What? I mean, I'm a romantic, but please, right? I got a plane to catch. It wasn't that. Instead, he said, my name is Greg Saretsky, and I'm the president and CEO of WestJet, and I want to thank you for flying with us here today. And if you have any questions, comments, or complaints, I'm sitting right here in two-way. Come on up and tell me about it. Now, that was the CEO of any other airline, right? People would be like, yeah, I got some questions, buddy, right? And not only that, but when the flight attendants started handing out beverages and collecting garbage, he helped them out along the way. And it was phenomenal. You can see I only fly first class back there in row 148 as I took this flight. And it was phenomenal. Now, compare that to a different flight that Francis mentioned. I was flying another airline who will go nameless. But let's just say it rhymes with Air Canada. Okay? Can we do that? And I never check a bag because you don't do that. But on this particular day, my colleague texted me and said, you should check your bag, right? Because stuff happens. There's something at security. So check it today, and you'll be fine. So I got to my destination, no bag. And I got back home and had a phone call and said, Mr. Tite, we have your bag. Funny, it never left Toronto. We'll deliver it tonight between 6 and 9 p.m. So I canceled the plans, I didn't have. And I waited. No bag. Second night, same thing. Third night, same thing. Now, little do they know, I'm a bit of a geek, so from the first moment that the bag didn't arrive, I tweeted, Air Canada lost my bag. And those get forwarded to my Facebook wall, and a couple of friends kind of hopped on and said, sucks to be you. But every point of contact, every time they said they would call and they didn't call, every time they said the bag would be there and it wasn't there, I tweeted about it, and it got posted to Facebook. And this conversation grew and grew and grew, with more people kind of hopping on the conversation, to the point that at one point I wrote, the manager said he would call me at 2 p.m. At 2:05, an ex-girlfriend on the other side of the country called me. She's like, so, did he call? What's going on? We're all sitting here. We're waiting. So on the Sunday night, I started a Facebook group called Air Canada, Please Give Ron Tite His Bag Back. And a couple of people kind of hopped on, and somebody said, here's the personal email address for the COO of Air Canada. Don't ask me how I got it. So I emailed the COO and said, I could go on and on about what I've encountered with the organization over the past week. Instead, I will direct you to the Facebook group, Air Canada, please give Ron Tite his bag back. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. And I didn't even give them my number. That's how powerful these people are, right? So my phone, I said, hello, Mr. Tite, it's Patrick calling from Air Canada. I'm just checking out your Facebook group. You'll have your bag in 30 minutes. And I think what I said was, Patrick, I do believe I'm going to have to call bullshit on this one because you haven't delivered over the past week, and I don't have the confidence you're going to deliver moving forward. 28 minutes later, my bag arrived. But the best part is that 10 minutes after that, another bag arrived. Your bag is there, so I already have my bag. They're like, well, there's nothing. I was like, shut up, that's awesome. And there was this brand new piece of luggage with an Air Canada sticker on it. I thought that's really awesome. They bought me a new luggage. That's great. And I opened it up, and I kid you not, okay, these were the items that were in the bag. Deli meat, cheese, bottle of wine, dress socks, handcuffs, a Nerf football, and condoms. And I thought, who's smoking, what the. But when I dug a little deeper, there was a note inside from an editor who cuts a lot of the commercials that I work on. And the note simply said, we heard about your luggage fiasco and thought we would replace the items we can only presume were in your luggage when you lost them. What kind of freak does he think I am, that I would have a Nerf football? I'm like, what? No, come on. But this is incredibly important because those are two completely different stories, right, from two completely different organizations from within the same category. And at the end of the day, one lived up to the promise, the brand promise, and the other one did not. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter because the end consumer doesn't care. And it's becoming more and more critical that the personal brands of the individuals who work within an organization and the organizational brand be 100% completely aligned. Because before, if you encountered, substandard service or not a great cultural environment, well, you told 5 people and that was it. And now you tell 5,000. You tell 50,000. And so it's really critical that personal brands and organizational brands be completely aligned. Now, this is kind of one of the reasons why. This is 2005. Some of you may have seen this photo before. This is 2005 outside the Vatican. And we're going to jump forward 8 years. So take a good look at that photo because we go from that to that in 8 years. Now, typically, I love the guy in the bottom right, who's he's the bleeding edge innovator with the old school flip phone there, right? But we've gone from that to that, and what a lot of people say is, it's about the device, it's about we got to make our website mobile responsive, and we need apps and everything, and yes, 100% that is true. But what's more important here is the mindset of the people because of the technology. Because from the time this photo was taken, the platform has already changed. The device has already changed and will continue to change. And there'll be new stuff and old stuff, and stuff will die off and new stuff will take its place. That's not the point. The point is that 3 things have happened which have fundamentally changed the way we interact with our colleagues, the way we interact with our customers, the way we interact with our prospects. And that is this. 1, the cost of production has come drastically down. So before, if you wanted to make a TV show, you need to be a big studio, you need a big network, you needed a studio and makeup people and editors and everything else, and 5 cameras. And now, overnight, the cost of production came down drastically to the point that every single person in this room could shoot and cut a TV show on their smart device in your pocket. So cost of production has come down. The second thing is that we got massive distribution. And so you have this really low cost of production where people are creating a bunch of stuff, and then boom, we give them a global audience instantaneously that they can distribute that content. And when you combine low cost of production with massive distribution, what you end up is the third thing, which is fundamentally changing communications. And that is a desire to create and consume niche content. So if you're really into knitting, you're a geek, you're weird, freaky into knitting. Well, before, maybe you had a magazine, and that was it. And maybe you talked to 3 other people in your neighborhood. And now you can connect with people. You can geek out 24/7 on the thing that you love more than anything in the world. You can geek out 24/7. You can follow 500 knitters on Twitter. You can sell your creations on Etsy. You can watch instructional videos on YouTube. You can download PDFs of great patterns, and so on and so forth. So now the thing that you love can consume your entire day. And a brand is going to show up with a direct mail piece? Or are you going to try and book a Monday morning meeting with a bunch of colleagues to try and secure budget for an additional initiative? Or are you going to try and convince somebody that they should move halfway around the globe to continue working for your organization? People used to vote with their wallets. If they liked what you did, if they supported what you did, they voted with their wallets. Well, now they vote with their time. And if you can't win the battle for time, and again, it doesn't matter whether it's internally or externally, you're dead in the water. So they're doing stuff like this, right? That's Rembrandt in the background, people. And they're sitting there going, oh my God, I can't believe what Becky just said on Snapchat. It's unbelievable. So it's going beyond the human race. What is so interesting? What's interesting is that people have access to the stuff they love, and they have a community of people around the world that they can talk about it with. So it's changing. It's something that we call the expression economy. The expression economy is where consumers, average people in their day, and we're all consumers, right? Regardless of whether we work in B2B or B2C, we're all consumers. And so we're now expressing ourselves, and because we're expressing ourselves, other people are consuming that expression about the stuff that they love. And they're doing things that we could never hope to do. They're doing stuff like this. Someone somewhere said, we have an important message. This is critically important that people know about this. And you took 2 weeks to book a boardroom, and then you have to debate what should it say. It should say warning, no, that'll frighten people. And said, Nancy, I don't think the I should be capitalized. Let's take it to a vote, right? And then marketing showed up and said, you're using the wrong fonts, you idiots. What are you doing, right? And then you gave it to your in-house designer, right? Greg, who's like, I put a box around it. That's what I do. That's my thing. I put a box around it. And you invested time and resources and labor into doing this. It's a very important message that people need to hear. And within 30 seconds, an intern with a Sharpie and a napkin comes along and steals your focus. Your focus is being stolen every single day. And you'll notice that the cost of production on the Sharpie and the napkin is significantly lower than the cost of production on the more important message. It doesn't matter. It's far more interesting. It's far more compelling. It will win the day. Consumers are far more creative than you will ever be. They're doing stuff like this. Every woman in here right now is going, yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, seriously. And there was no greater example than last summer with the Ice Bucket Challenge that swept the globe. Did anybody in here do an Ice Bucket Challenge? You did. What's your name again? Ulsa. Who challenged you to do the Ice Bucket Challenge? It was Peggy did?
Our company. Yeah.
Your company. And who did you challenge?
Everybody,
Everybody.
right?
Hello, world. This is Elsa. This is, right? So people around the globe did the Ice Bucket Challenge. And everyone says, well, it was such a massive success because people like Bill Gates did it. And people like Martha Stewart did it. And folks, it wasn't the fact that there were videos that got 1 million views that made this successful. It was the millions of videos that got 100 views. That's why this campaign was successful. Because what happened is we got challenged by our brothers and our sisters and our cousins and our colleagues. And when that stuff came in, right, of course we're going to pay attention to that. That's niche content. Because it's really targeted at us as individuals. And it won the day. And so you combined low cost of production. Did you shoot it on your phone? Go with me here. Come on, I'm trying to prove a point.
She's ruining it.
Where did you post it?
Facebook.
To Facebook. So 99% of the people out there shot the video with their phone, low cost of production. They posted it to Facebook, massive distribution, niche content, targeted completely at their immediate social network. And we all knew what it was going to be, right? Every video was exactly the same. Hey, it's Ron. I want to thank also for challenging me. This is great, and this is going out to Peggy. Woo! All right. And this is my ice bath. Oh my God, that's cool. Every video was exactly the same, and it consumed people's lives for 6 weeks, and it won the battle for time. For 6 weeks, it consumed our feeds. Low cost of production, massive distribution. Now, when we look at the top 10 global brands, one thing that really sticks out to me is that when we talk about all the Johnny-come-latelys, right? The Twitters and the Instagrams and the Pinterests and the Facebooks and everything. When we're really looking at the brands who are hitting it out of the park, it's the brands who've been around for quite some time, right? They're really, really doing a great job. And how have they done it? How have they stayed on top? Well, they've stayed on top because they constantly reinvent themselves. They constantly reinvent themselves. So Apple started as a hardware software manufacturer. In Q4 of 2014, made $570,000 a minute. Why? Because we're renting TV shows and we're buying apps. Google, which started out as organizing the world's data as their mantra, bought Nest, a thermostat company, constantly reinventing themselves. Coke, which hasn't done a ton of reinvention, they've gone back and forth in terms of owning the bottlers, but they've shifted their entire advertising spend into content marketing. IBM stands for International Business Machines. They don't make business machines anymore. Constantly reinventing themselves. So on one hand, we can look to the big brands to say, hey, what are they doing to reinvent themselves? What are they doing to stay relevant? On the other hand, no organization in the history of capitalism has ever changed. Because organizations don't change. People do. An organization is nothing. It's a brand, it's a legal entity, it's nothing. It is it's a bunch of people like us who make separate and individual decisions every single day. And you accumulate those decisions and you either end up with an organization that's innovative or one that's not. And so we can talk about it from the 30,000-foot view, but until we bring it down into the trenches, until individual people make different decisions on a daily basis, it doesn't go anywhere. It's a waste of time. But we can learn a lot from what great brands are doing, because great brands are innovative. Well, guess what? So are great people. So we can have this kind of dual approach. Now, I'm going to skip past this to get right to the heart of the matter here. And so what do we have to do as brands and as organizations and as people? Well, the first thing is we need to be a rebel with a cause. We need to believe in something beyond the product or service we have. You know why? Because people are tired of getting pitch slapped, right? They're tired of it. Everyone's got an offer. Everyone's got a promo. Internally, everybody says, hey, can I grab 2 minutes of your time? I just want to chat to you a little bit about something. Oh, I hear you're the resident expert on this. Can you just help out? Can you pitch in on this meeting? Can you step in? Right? Everybody's got a pitch. Everyone's got a promo, and people are exhausted. And so if we're really going to cut through all of those pitches, we have to elevate the conversation. We have to believe in something beyond the product or the service that is more important than the product or the service. Some of you may have seen or heard Simon Sinek, who's a wonderful guy and a great speaker and writer. And this is your why, right? The what you do is really boring. The why you do it, well, that's the thing that gets you up on a Monday morning. That's what gets you through the crappy periods or the stressful periods or the frustrating periods. Not the what. There are millions of you people around the world. But the why is something that's really interesting. If you believe in something, it cuts through. So that's why Red Bull has become a media property who happens to sell a beverage, opposed to a beverage company that pumps out custom commercials. Because what you'll never see in any Red Bull video, ever, what you won't see is somebody stick a landing in a snowboard and then go, thanks, Red Bull. They don't do it. In fact, Red Bull, a friend of mine is a guy named Matt Basili, who's a great chef who has his own show called Rebel Without a Kitchen. And they approached him and said, we'd love for you to do some cooking videos for Red Bull. And he goes, I'd love to. I really respect the brand, but I can't drink the product because of health reasons. There's too much caffeine. And they said, oh, we don't care. He said, what? I cannot endorse your product. They're like, the product has nothing to do with it. We love what you believe. We love your approach to your business. And we think that fits with our brand beliefs. Phenomenal. When was the last time you heard a brand say that? Whole Foods, I was with the co-founder and CEO, a guy named John Mackey, who wrote a great book called Conscious Capitalism that I highly recommend. And John talked about Whole Foods believing in community, and that community is most important for them. And community, as they define it, is the people that work there and the environment and the business community that they operate in. And John has come up with something called firms of endearment. And firms of endearment are those organizations that do not define themselves by shareholder value, but they define themselves by a greater belief. And those firms have outperformed the Good to Great Index and the S&P 500 over the past decades. Not only does it, does it feel nice and warm and moral and ethical, it works. It works because you have to cut through. Now, when I speak to organizations, they go, oh, no, we gotta believe we have our values. Here's a PowerPoint deck that illustrates what our values are. And I always say the same thing, which is, I don't care about your values. Because I know what happened. You booked your senior management team and you went up to a resort somewhere north of the city you currently reside. You huddled around a flip chart and you went, we need some values. And someone's like, how about accountability? You're like, Mary, that's a good word, right? And you wrote it down. And then you come back, someone prepares the deck and you distribute it, and that's the last you hear of it. What's more important about your values is, do you live the values? I shouldn't actually have to read your values. I should experience your values on a daily basis. And your staff should experience your values internally. Now, I just celebrated my second anniversary, first marriage. I just started a little late. But for our first anniversary, my wife and I decided to go to Berlin. Because, hey, nothing says romance like Germany. Germans, yes? I will alienate all of you by the end of this presentation, trust me. Yes, hello, welcome, happy anniversary. No. So we go to Berlin because it's an absolutely wonderful city, and we hadn't been, and we wanted to go. And in doing the research, we looked at some hotels, and we saw Casa Camper Berlin. And the Casa Camper also has a hotel in Barcelona for the Spaniards in the room. And I said to my wife, oh my God, these are the same people. The camper that they own the shoe, the Spanish camper, they own the shoe. These, right? I have a pair. These are amazing. I want to go to this hotel. And my wife, who does not work in marketing, said, why would we stay at a hotel made by shoe people? And I said, 2 reasons. 1, I've got a book coming out, and I want to talk to them about the brand extension. And 2, we can write this trip off, baby, right? Come on. So we went, and I interviewed the general manager about the brand extension. I said, what the hell? What business do you have in making a hotel? You're a shoe company. And she said, no, we're not. And I said, I got the shoes. I know you're a shoe company. She goes, no. We're a company who happens to make shoes. But that's not how we define ourselves. We define ourselves by 3 things: health, simplicity, and design. Okay? Sounds good. Really easy to say. So we go to the hotel. Well, the first thing is that this is the room. And it may not appeal to your personal taste, but we quite loved it. This is kind of funky, minimalist, contemporary design. Really wonderful. Okay, so they got the design box checked off. So we said, okay, health, what are they going health-wise? Well, they had bikes that you could take, and it's in the former East Berlin. You could drive it around, and that was great. But on the wall, by every elevator button, was this sign: walk down, it's healthier. It was the bane of my existence for the entire time I was there. But not only that, they lived the value. They didn't just finger wag. They actually made the stairwells so you wanted to walk down them. They painted them bright, bold colors. They had art on the walls. It was amazing. Because normally, right, and no offense to our friends at the Sheraton here, but normally you walk into a hotel stairwell, right, and I'm getting murdered here. This is nothing good ever happened in a hotel stairwell, right? You're sidestepping urine. It's all this horrible stuff. And it was wonderful. And from a simplicity standpoint, the only thing that you could build to your room was alcohol. Hot breakfast ordered off a menu, fruit, pop, fruit, juice, almonds, yogurt, everything available 24/7 for free. The only thing you could build was alcohol, and they had a bar, but no bartender. You just went in, you grabbed a beer, you wrote on a slip of paper, Ron Tite, room 65, I had a beer. You folded it and you put it in a suggestion box, like it was 1978 or something, right? And that was it. Now that's innovation, because normally the rest of us would go, it's about the device. We're going to make an app, and you're going to download the app and create an ID and a membership, and you scan a barcode and all that BS, right? No, slip of paper, folded it. Is that? There you go, done. It was amazing. They absolutely lived their values. So we have to believe in something beyond the product or the service, but we have to live it on a daily basis. Now, we also have to know our audience. We've got more data available on our audience, again, internally, externally, than we've ever had before. And we're living in a world where organizations are starting to really harness that data and provide customized communications for people. And of course, there's nothing any of us like better than the sound of our own name. And stuff that's completely personalized and customized for us. We're in a world where Netflix can go, we know what you watched last time, and here's 10 movies that we think you should watch next time. Amazing. Save me time, customized for me. They have millions of customers. But when I sign in, it's a page exclusively for me. We're living in a world where Coke has put names, right, on the bottles. And I was in Calgary, which is in Canada, has this big event called the Calgary Stampede. And Coke had a pop-up where you could go and you could say, this is my name, and they would print you out a bottle with your own name on it, instead of rooting through the fridge trying to find your name. There was a 45-minute lineup. You could take 2 steps to the left and buy a Coke with somebody else's name on it in 2 seconds. Same product. Exact same product. 45-minute lineup to get one with my name on it. I saw that when I transferred through Frankfurt, the names are a little different. I don't know what Adel Joker is. Is there a German in the room who can explain what Adel Joker is?
You're a very talented joke maker. You tell jokes, and you're really good at it. Edel means...
Am I an Edel Joker? I hope so. Okay, now I know. Thank you very much. I'm going to buy that one on the way home, I think. So we really have to know our audience. Now, there's a hotel in Vancouver that I stay at when I'm in town, and it's called the Westin Grand. It's one of the Westin properties. It's lovely. It is part of the Starwood family, so we're not taking off our friends of the Sheraton here. But it's the Westin Grand, and I was there once, and I tweeted out, "I love the Westin Grand," and they wrote back within 30 seconds, "We love you too." And said, if we can do anything to make your stay better, let us know. I said, well, actually, now that you mention it, there was no shampoo in the hotel room this morning. And the women are going, who cares? You bring your own. No, I'm a guy. We don't. Whatever's on the counter is what we're using, right? And if there's no shampoo, the bar soap it is, right? So, and they said, oh, apologies, it's now in your room. I was like, awesome, that's great. And then I was working in the hotel room later, and there's a knock at the door, and there's a woman there who with a carafe of ice water, fresh fruit, and chocolate. And this note that says, Dear @Ron Tite, thank you for being a loyal guest and follower. We hope you enjoy the rest of your stay, and a little tweet from us, sincerely at the Westin Grand. Now this is a whole bunch of awesome, because it's not like there's a policy manual, right, that goes, hey, if we forget the shampoo, press this red button, and Gloria will get the fruit and drink. Like, no. One person said, I'm going to actually live up to the line and deliver service to connect with this person. So I talked about this for a while, and people would sometimes tweet to the hotel saying, hey, at the Westin Grand, Ron Tite's giving you kudos. So they've known every time I've addressed somebody and mentioned them. So I went there a few months ago, and I just checked in. Didn't tell them I was coming, or I just show up. And I go to my room, and the first thing is waiting is this. Dear Ron, which I love, because we started as Dear at Ron Tite. Now it's Dear Ron. We're in a relationship now, right? Welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you stay with us again. We're truly grateful for all the kind words you say about us during your speaking engagements. To truly show our appreciation, please enjoy these snacks. We hear they're your favorite, as well as a couple of personal touches in your suite. Now, my good friends know that I survive on two things: Diet Coke and barbecue chips. That's all I need. So I go in the room, 2 Diet Cokes in a champagne bucket, 3 homemade types of barbecue chips from an artisan chippery. Gets better, because I go in the bathroom, 20 shampoos. It gets better. So I go into the bedroom. They've downloaded and printed a picture of me with our 2 dogs, put it in a silver frame by the bedside table with a note that says, "Hope this feels like home." So it's my wife said, they're lucky that wasn't me in the frame, because that would have been creepy. And I told the community manager that, hey, my wife said, she's lucky it wasn't her. And he goes, yeah, actually, we have a rule. We won't, because you never know who's coming into that hotel room. I'm going to call him. I'm going to go, 68 of 600 people were on Tinder. You never know. So it's phenomenal. So this data is out there. I have open profiles. It's all out there. This is not a budgetary limitation. This is not a strategic limitation of using data to provide customized, personalized communication to connect with somebody. It is the desire to do it. And either you have the desire or you don't. It's super easy. This is $8. That's it. $8. And maybe an hour or 2 of their time. And yeah, you can't do it with everybody, but when it really matters, you do it. And my agency, we manage communities for a lot of big brands like Microsoft and Johnson & Johnson, and we actually put it into the budget and into the schedule that we will surprise and delight somebody. Randomly we'll do it, but we have to remind ourselves, and we have to secure a budget to do it ahead of time, so we're not reacting and trying to get approvals at the last minute. But we have to use that data to surprise and delight people. Now, once we have that, then we can tell stories, because your stories are way more important than your data. And everybody, kind of defaults to data so we can approach the left brain side of things and the rational beings that we are. Well, that's not going to win the battle for time. It may close the deal. It may, complete the conversation. But if you want to win the battle for time, you have to tell stories. That's what makes it real for people. And you combine stories with personal and customized information, then it's really powerful, right? Because you could say, hey, would you like to move to Florence to work on behalf of the organization? And you can see that, 72% of the people there live above blah, 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 and go through the job data and everything else. Or you could go, you know what, there was a family that we placed in Florence 2 years ago. And what they found, and what happened to them, and this was their experience. Well, that's real now. So when Google, who has the most data of anybody, really, decided to launch a traditional advertising campaign, they could have talked about search algorithms, they could have talked about the products. Instead, they did this. Low cost of production. They did it in-house. It's just a screen grab. That's all it is. Massive distribution. They deployed it to the internet before they launched it for the Super Bowl. It aired once. That's it. It tells a wonderful story. And the product has a role to play in that. It really does. So it's not just random stories. It's very strategic. but it's way more compelling. And if you can make that person a real person that somebody knows or has heard of, even more powerful. So we've got that. Now we have to really be honest. And there's been a number of studies that look at what consumers look at when they trust a brand. What are the variables that contribute to trust? And for number one, for many, 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 many years, was product, the quality of the product. Well, in 2012, for the first time, that went to number two. Number one was how that brand communicates with you. And that people want to do business with brands who are open, honest, and transparent. And before I started my own agency, I was executive creative director at an agency called Euro RSCG, now called Havas. And our New York office created the campaign, the Equis Campaign, the most interesting man in the world. The best part about this campaign is the second to last line, when the spokesperson says, "I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I prefer Dos Equis." And when I saw the storyboards, and I called my boss in New York right away and said, "Who sold the line?" Because that's an amazing line, because it's really honest. Because typically the advertising response would be, either it's Dos Equis or it's nothing. Well, that's not true. People don't live their lives like that. We have to be really honest about that. Internally, it's even more difficult to do that because we get into whole realms, aspects of corporate culture. But we really have to elevate that culture to one that's being completely open, honest, and transparent. But now you'll see stuff like, not the greatest wine ever made, but still very good. No Castle says, there are many beers out there, this is one of them. No bones. But this is, my wife and I went to Charleston, South Carolina, and this is at a restaurant, and they've now said, hey, these are all the places we source all of our food from. And so you can see, that the Butcher and Bee, those are the people, and they get artisan breads from there. Completely open and transparent. The best, though, was Ricky Gervais just did something for Optus, which is out of Australia. And this is the commercial that actually ran.
Optus approached me and asked me to do an advert telling Australia that they're getting Netflix. I said, I'd need like a shed load of cash, like seriously mental money. They went, okay. I said, I don't want to put any effort into it, I want to do it sitting down. They went, okay, can you at least, big up the product a bit? I went, not really. No, I don't know about it, I've never heard of Optus. They said, we're not happy with this as an advert. I went, it's too late. You've paid me, I've spent it. Use this if you want. They use it. They use it.
Now, that honesty has to extend to ourselves as well as individuals, of really knowing what we're good at. And certainly in North America, when we look at who's winning in the retail space, it's high-end, it's low-end. It's people like Holt Renfrew and Walmart. And who's not doing well? It's the middle-of-the-road retailers of Sears and Target. The people who are trying to be all things to all people. And they're really not that honest with themselves at all. So we have to be honest with ourselves, like these guys. It's as if somebody said, hey, can we take you off-roading? They're like, well, you could, but we're not very good at it. But if you want to park in tight urban spaces, there's nobody better. That's where we have to get to as individuals and as organizations. And when someone says, when you want to do this, go to this person. There's nobody better. But we can only do that if we're really, really honest with ourselves. And so those brands and those people who are honest with others and honest with themselves about their own strengths and weaknesses are really emerging and connecting with people in an honest way. Now, when we do that, we have to have some personality about it. And when I say that personal brands and organizational brands have to be completely aligned, what I don't mean is that everybody has to look the same and sound the same and act the same. Because your personality, be it your corporate culture or you as an individual, it's the only thing you own. Other people work in your field. Other people went to the same schools as you, came from the same place as you, had the same job as you. But your personality, and when you bring it out, this is completely authentic. It makes you real, it makes you genuine, and people will give you the time of day. But if you're just going to come forward spewing a bunch of jargon that is, reciting the company mission statement a bunch of times, you're not going to cut through. People don't have time for that because they're tired of being pitch slapped, and they'll see it as being insincere, and they'll write you off. So we really have to have a sense of personality, like these guys.
Oh, very funny. You got me. Sponsors of tomorrow.
They really are that geeky. I've done a lot of work with them. They really are that geeky. Now compare that to this, which I'm sure some of you have seen.
Shit my pants. Right here. Shit my pants, you kidding. You can ship your pants? Right here. You hear that? I can ship my pants for free.
Wow, I just may ship my pants.
Yeah, ship your pants. Billy, you can ship your pants too.
I can't wait to ship my pants, Daddy.
I just ship my pants, and it's very convenient.
Very convenient.
I just ship my drawers.
I just ship my nightie.
I just shipped my bed. If you can't find what you're looking for in store, we'll find it at Kmart.com right now and ship it to you for free.
How many people saw that before? And the couple of people who did see it, how many thought what I thought? Which was, what, Kmart's still in business? I have no idea. Wow. But here's what's important. It didn't work. Millions watched it. Millions shared it. Millions loved it. But not more people shipped their pants. And the reason for that is, this is not the personality for those of you who know the Kmart brand. This is not the personality that we know Kmart by. They're not a funny brand at all. And people didn't buy it. It's kind of like working with, that grumpy person in your office, right? We all have that person that we work with. Grumpy Gord. Gord's always grumpy. And then Gord comes in that one day, and he's like, hey, good morning, everybody. How you doing? Do you think, wow, Gord has completely overhauled his personality, and moving forward, this is the new Gord? No. You think, Gord got some action last night or something, and tomorrow he will go back to being the same grumpy Gord. So if you kind of put on a personality that's not authentic, you will be found out. And people say, what if I'm an asshole? I'm like, well, you're going to be found out too. And your problem isn't the authenticity, it is the fact that you're a jerk, right? That's the problem. And so we really have to allow our real personality to come out and let that play for us. Because if we try and put it on and be something else, we're dead in the water. People see it coming. Now, there's a mayor in Canada named Naheed Nenshi, who's the mayor of Calgary, who just won the best mayor in the world from the Global Mayor Congress. There is such a thing. I want to know how many people are on Tinder at that conference. That's what I want to know. And Naheed Nenshi was this really wonderful guy from a very conservative city. Naheed Nenshi came out of nowhere. They did not see him coming. And I'm telling you, within the next decade, he will be the Prime Minister of Canada. Because what he did was he talked with such great honesty. There was a massive flood in Calgary. And he stood before the cameras and said, I can't believe I have to say this to you people. Stay out of the river. And normally people are like, don't talk like that. You'll piss off the constituents, right? And he'd be like, we strongly advise. No. He let his personality come out, and it made him real, and people connect with him. And I met him a few months ago, and the person that introduced him said, if there's one thing that binds all of Albertans' love, it binds all Albertans together, it's our love of Mayor Nenshi. When was the last time you heard a politician say that? Now, a couple of examples. A young girl was in a restaurant. She tweeted to him, "Oh my God, I'm in the same restaurant as at Nenshi." He replies back, "Oh my God, I'm in the same restaurant as that Nicole Straub." Somebody else writes, "Hey, Nancy, what's the point of the ridiculously expensive bridge again? What does it signify?" I think it's to be used to cross the river, no? Very honest. And normally people would say, no, don't say that, you'll tick him off. But what has happened is he's carved out this really unique place. And yes, Daniel Moore may have been ticked off a little bit, but what we know in our experience with managing communities is that when you respond to anger and to haters with a little bit of personality and a little bit of humor, suddenly they go, good for you. All right, you got me. Right on. The funniest example in this, the Toronto District School Board is the Board of Education in Toronto, and there's nothing more sensitive than the education of our youth worldwide. And so you really have to be very careful of what you say in that environment. And a student tweeted to them, at TDSB, "It's really chilly outside. Are you sure I have to go to school tomorrow?" They replied, "Hello again, Alex. Your spelling indicates that you should go to school tomorrow." School is cool. The hashtag is the best part of that, right? So we have to have personality. We have to be honest. But if there was a mantra from people in the world, it is this: shut up and solve my problem. Enough of the excuses, enough of the smoke and mirrors, solve my problem. And we've seen that the brands who are solving problems are the brands that are adding value and they're really cutting through. And so in Ireland, ABI has this new center called The Lab, where they bring in consumers to actually teach them about the internet. Because there was a high digital penetration in Ireland, there's a low penetration in terms of people using banking services. And so they created this new digital-only bank just for the sake of education, solving problems. Nykredit in Denmark, I hope I'm saying that correctly, has now started interacting with customers through video chat because it was more convenient for customers. So they wanted to speak to advisors through video, and they didn't want to have to go into a branch. And they started doing that. And they're adding value. They're solving problems. Starbucks has created an app where you can go in and pay for your coffee on your phone. They solved the problem we didn't even know we had. And it's not all about big expense and digital deployment. When I spoke in Canada for Stephen, we did it up in Whistler, and Stephen and the organization in Canada were really quite lovely to book a car service that was going to take me from Vancouver to Whistler. It's about a 2-hour drive on a very treacherous highway, and I was getting in late at night. And so I had a car service that was going to wait. But my flight was a half an hour early, which usually you're like, amazing, we got here a half an hour early. But when you have a car service, you're like, now I got to wait in an airport for a half an hour for the car to show up, right? For the dude to come up with your name spelled incorrectly on a white sign. But when I landed, I got this text message. Early flight arrival? Who knew? We did. We just adjusted your pickup time to 22:59 so you're not waiting. Need to call us? Here's our number. It's a text message. Again, this isn't about budget. This isn't about strategy. It's about the desire to add value and solve people's problems. And we've, it was discussed this morning, and Ray discussed it in the opening keynote, that what's really interesting is that the brands that are coming from out of nowhere, that are redefining categories, in my opinion, and it doesn't contradict the previous messages, but in my opinion, why they're doing that is because they're adding value where the establishment can't or won't. The taxi cab that I took from the airport to this hotel, when I got out and I said, here's my credit card, he's like, I don't take credit cards. Now, the hotel was amazing, and they said, we've got it. They paid for the taxi and added it to my room bill. Now, so the hotel added value where the establishment can't or won't. But taxi cabs around the world going, this is wrong, they don't have a license. And as a consumer, I'm going, wait, you have a license and you can't let me pay with a credit card? Figure it out, fellas. right? Adding value where the establishment can't or won't. And Airbnb, which now books more rooms globally than Hilton. Why? Because they're adding value where the establishment can't or won't. What's really interesting is they own no hotels, they own no cars. And these people are coming from out of nowhere, out of left field. In the financial services, Square, founded by the co-founder of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, for cheaper credit card payments. I was just in San Francisco last week, and the credit machine that's in the back of the cab, I went to pay with a credit card, and they're like, actually, can I do it through this? So now the cabbies are going around their own system because they're paying cheaper credit card transaction fees by using Square. And we've seen this time and time again. We've seen it with Tesla. That we have to add value where the establishment can't or won't. Because the people who are really making a difference, and they're really connecting with people, because people are saying, shut up and solve my problem. They don't care. Uber is a success because they looked at every single pain point along the way and solved the problem. Oh, don't like the driver or the car? Okay, you're going to get to rate your driver at the end of your trip. Oh, you want to pay with your credit card and you can't in a cab? Okay, we're going to keep your credit card on file. You just get out. You don't have to pay. Oh, you think you were overcharged? Okay, this is what happened to me. I took Uber to a meeting, and I was 10 minutes late for the meeting, and I was ticked because he didn't know where he was going, and he didn't follow the GPS. And I got out of the cab, and I went, 1 star. I'm so powerful. And immediately I got an email from Uber that said, you always give 5 stars. Why only 1 star? And I said, I didn't know where he was going. And then 30 minutes went by, and I got another email that said, we looked at the GPS data. The route he took cost you $27. The most efficient route he should have taken would have cost you $20. We've refunded your credit card $7. And they can only do that, one, because they have the data in order to solve people's problem, but again, because someone looked into it. Someone had the desire to do it. I'll quickly finish up here. This is a woman named Evelyn Hannon, who is the world's oldest blogger. She's 75 years old. And when Evelyn got divorced from her husband, George, in the 70s, she said what was really frustrating for her wasn't that she was losing a husband. Whatever. It was that she was losing a travel partner. Because women in the early 70s, it wasn't cool for women to travel on their own, and women didn't do that. And so what she started to do was she started to go to dinner parties and collect, information from other women, kind of going, I'm going to Paris. Do you know anybody that lives there? So I can call them. And then she'd call those people and go, I'm coming to Paris. Where can I stay? Where's a safe neighborhood? Where should I eat? And she had all these file folders on all these cities around the world. And when other people would go to her and go, oh, I'm going to Copenhagen. I've never been before. She'd go, oh, I got a file folder on that. And she'd give them the file folder. Now, in 1997, Evelyn started something called journeywoman.com. And this is the website from 1997. It is the same website today. It sucks. And I love this, to the point that she's getting awards for her retro design. This is great. Evelyn Hannon, at 75 years old, has close to 40,000 Twitter followers. She has an e-newsletter that goes to 75,000 women in over 200 countries once a month. She's been featured in Time magazine and People magazine and is voted the world's oldest blogger. And the reason isn't because of the website. There's no HTML5, there's no Flash video, there's nothing. The reason is because Evelyn Hannon has a genuine desire to connect with and help people. And that desire has existed long before the internet came out, before smartphones, before Twitter and Facebook. And yes, she uses those tools to help her out, but that genuine desire is stronger, and she will kick your butt 24/7, regardless of the platform you're on or the social media you choose to use. Because if it means she has to fax you or pick up a phone or meet you for a coffee in person, she will do it. And a lot of those earlier examples were things that happened face to face, right? The sign of the, don't be alarmed, or whatever it was, that one. This door is alarmed, yes, what startled it? Was that it happened face to face. Low cost of production, took a picture of it, massive distribution, shared it to Reddit, niche content, there it is. So she'll kick your butt. There was a outdoor education writer named Stephen Van Mater who went to the Disneyland parade every year, and he loved going, and he always stood in the same spot, and because it was this great place where the Santa float was, and he was there one year, and he sees this guy across the street from him, thousands of people in the streets, but he sees this guy really distracted with something in his pocket, and he's torn because Santa's coming, right? This is the thing. And he sees this guy there, and you see this guy pull out a sign. And he's got who he presumes is his son sitting at his feet on the curb below. And as Santa rounds the corner, he pulls out this sign and holds it above the kid's head so the kid can't see it. And Santa begins calling out to everybody, "Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, everybody, hello, boys and girls." And the guy holds up the sign, starts waving frantically at Santa and pointing at the sign and pointing at the kid below. And written on the sign was just one word: Richard. And Santa sees this. "Hello, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays." Looks at the sign, looks at the kid, and goes, "Merry Christmas, Richard." Richard peed his pants. You kidding me? Thousands of people, Santa singles you out, calls your name. You could almost, hear him the next day going to his friends. "No shit, man, he made eye contact. I'm telling you, the man in red knows I exist." And he's going to tell his kids about it, and he's going to tell his grandkids about it, about the day that Santa called him out in front of thousands of people. And the whole setup was so simple, right? He tore the top off a box, wrote Richard on it, stuffed it in his pocket, and left. And when we're asked to really connect with people, when we're asked to deliver moments of magic or whatever you want to call them for our colleagues and for our clients, normally most of us go, "I don't have the time, I don't have the budget, I don't have the energy." And as that dorky little story shows, it's far too often none of those things that get in the way. It's the desire to connect with people. Great brands add value. Great brands have personality. Great brands solve problems. And so do great people. Thank you very much for your time today. I don't think